This video is going to cover the IRS audits of ERC credits in the Voluntary Compliance Program. IRS has come out with a Voluntary Compliance Program. They're on to number 2, VCI 2. And what this does is for any company that has filed an ERC application, employee retention credit, and they believe it's inaccurate, either because they provided inaccurate information to the IRS or they hired a company, a professional, who provided inaccurate information to the IRS, here's some things that you can do and some tips. Number 1, you're going to have to file an application that includes facts about how you computed the ERC credit and additional information that the IRS is going to request. There's a form you have to fill and you have to sign under penalty of perjury. Really important that if you sign that under penalty of perjury, it's got to be accurate. You don't want to provide information to the IRS that compounds the inaccuracy. So make sure you hire a professional, preferably an attorney who has done numerous audits with the government and understands how and what information to provide. Number 2 is you're going to have to give 85% of the ERC credit that you received. You're going to have to return that back. Why 85%? Because IRS is presuming that if you hired a professional to prepare the ERC credit and get the money to you, that they took a 15% cut, a commission. So IRS is smart about it and says, okay, return 85%. Now the difficult part is that if you spent that money because you truly needed it, and now you realize there's an error, what do? Well, you're going to have to return that money back to the government. The third thing the IRS requests, if you're going to go through the VCI program, the Voluntary Compliance Program number 2, is that you cooperate with the IRS's current or future investigation. So if you hired a company that absolutely did a horrible job and provided inaccurate information and got you a much higher refund, or maybe a refund where you weren't even entitled to any funds, the IRS may request that you cooperate and give some information because that company may have many other taxpayers or in companies that they provided inaccurate information for and got illicit refunds for. So there's going to be a requirement that you cooperate with the IRS. And the fourth requirement is you have to sign a closing agreement. Again, signed under penalty of perjury. A closing agreement is basically a settlement agreement between you and the government. And it's going to recite basically the summary of the facts. You know, that you hired a company, that you received a credit for this amount, you only had wages of X, but you put, Y, or maybe you had no wages. Whatever the scenario is, that's going to be summarized in the closing agreement, and it's going to be signed. So I hope this information was useful. The IRS definitely has the ability to audit all of these claims, and if you submitted something, there's a paper trail. It's only a matter of time. Definitely hire a professional if you get a notice from the IRS that you're being either audited or under investigation. It's important from day one, accurate information is provided to the IRS and that there's a strategy. It's not simply, let me return the money, let me provide a bunch of facts and be done with it. It is going to take a little bit of time and absolutely going to be requiring you to be prepared with the strategy and what the narrative of the facts were. You don't want to have to go through this process and not provide correct information or a good narrative that might lead to a criminal investigation during this process. I'm John Milikowsky, founder of Milikowsky Tax Law. I hope this information was useful.